A big breakfast myth is shattered. In-store kiosks that can tell you what to eat by recognizing your face, shrimp aquaculture standards finally come under review. A call for new organic label standards and a preview of the National Grocers Association ConAgra Foods 2011 Consumer Panel Survey. For the week of January 24th, 2011, this is Food News Today. Good morning, and there's lots of news out of Washington this week. In fact, in the past week, since we were last together, some major food news. First up, seeing the White House and Walmart get together on a healthy initiative. In fact, Walmart has said sodium reduction, 25% across all their products, 10% reduction of added sugars. At the same time, we see both the GMA and the FMI combining forces to release a new program called Nutrition Keys. Lots of controversy about that one. We're going to talk a bit more about that next week, and also the announcement that comes Monday. We will see the release of the new nutritional guidelines. As a result of all of those things, next week's Food News Today will cover just those three topics. It's an issue all about nutrition. And stay tuned for lots more news following Monday's release of those new nutrition guidelines. And also, by the way, FDA has also announced, after years of controversy about what is organic and what is not, the USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service is now seeking comments on draft guidance for the labeling of products that contain at least 70% organic ingredients. The comments must be submitted before March 14, 2011, and instructions on how to submit those comments are available in the Federal Register. Immediately following Food News Today, we continue with a live discussion in our chat room below. Please sign in and join us. And don't forget, in order to be part of the chat, you must sign in. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. In our nutrition lead story this week comes a new study that suggests that eating a big breakfast may not lead to fewer daily calories. This time, Mom may not have been right. Researchers have discovered that large morning meals do not prevent overeating later in the day. Dietitians have also told us for years, and continue to do so, that eating a big breakfast will help keep us full throughout the day and keep further portion sizes down. But this new study from Germany debunks this myth. Researchers with the L.C. Kroner Friesens Center of Nutritional Medicine in Munich surveyed 380 people. 280 were obese and 100 were of normal weight. After analyzing what they ate over a 2-week period, they found that some people sometimes skipped breakfast and other times consumed either a big or small meal. However, those who ate a larger breakfast, and that breakfast being defined as being an average of 400 calories more than a small breakfast, ended up consuming, guess what? Big surprise, 400 calories more throughout the day. The results also demonstrated that people ate the same at lunch and dinner, regardless of what they had for breakfast. In our sustainability focus this morning, we take a look at shrimp aquaculture standards. As the amount of seafood consumption increases, we're becoming much more aware of the issues that are associated with farmed fish. The World Wildlife Fund, or WWF, is the world's largest conservation organization, and they're working on standardizing aquaculture. Currently, the shrimp aquaculture standards are under review. As of today, 1/2 of the shrimp eaten globally is farmed. I spoke with Jose Villalon from the World Wildlife Fund earlier this week to talk us through some of the issues. So where are we currently in the process of creating global standards for shrimp aquaculture and other species?
That's a good question, Phil. About 4 years ago, WWF started a process we call the aquaculture dialogues, which for 12 different farm species. And this process is a very multi-stakeholder process engaged with over 2,200 people worldwide. And they come from sectors such as the retail sector, private industry, also from producers, academia, and environmental and social NGOs. Today, we are finalizing them. We've already finished tilapia, the Asian catfish, and the oysters, clams, mussels, and scallops. And this year, in 2011, we will be finalizing shrimp, salmon, and trout. So it's a crucial moment for the standard setting world, because this is the first time that standards have been developed for the aquaculture industry in such an inclusive format. With shrimp in particular, we are now in a phase where we're in the second of two public comment phase, where the drafts are submitted to the world in an open format to have anyone that is interested comment on it to improve the final standards.
And it seems to me like there's going to be a new group created to manage these standards. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Right. Well, the aquaculture dialogue process is basically focused on creating the standards. But what happens once they're created? They have to be handed over to an independent entity, totally independent from WWF. WWF is not engaged in certification. And that entity has been called the Aquaculture Stewardship Council. For wild caught, there also exists something very similar, which is the Marine Stewardship Council. It's the same for farm. We have developed now, or we are developing, the Aquaculture Stewardship Council, which will then take on the standards that were created by this very novel multi-stakeholder process of the aquaculture dialogues, and through independent auditors, go out into the field, audit the farm, make sure it's compliant with the standard. If it is, then award it a certification. If it's not, it will not have the certification. And if it is awarded a certification, then it would have the right to use the logo, so that when you go to the grocery store to buy farm seafood, almost half of all the seafood on the grocery store shelves today comes from a farm. And so by having this logo on that package, you as a consumer will know that it was produced responsibly. And that's really important. We're not saying it's sustainable, it's produced responsibly. We see sustainability as a journey, and it's going to take time to get, but a responsibly produced product ensures that the impacts on the environment and society were minimized.
There's also little doubt that, especially after last week's meetings with the president of China, that when it comes to food safety standards of all kinds, not just seafood, that a lot of discussion is about to take place. It appears that the hit of the NRF Big Show was a device that can ease the stress of making dinner. In this week's Extreme Retail, we take a look at what a few technology innovators have in store for us. All you've got to do is take a stroll past this kiosk, and the digital device zooms in on your face and instantly determines your gender and your age group, and then suggests foods for you to make for dinner. For someone who looks like, for example, she might be a mom of school-age kids, the kiosk might recommend hot dogs with a side of mac and cheese. One glaring mistake, however, might turn off the shopper to never return to that store or the brand. For example, what if that person who the kiosk thought looked like a mom didn't have kids, or was a dude with long hair? Or what if the kiosk was suggesting a fatty pot roast with a heaping side of French fries and gravy to someone who, by the way, sponsored that, but someone who looked fit and just trim, and then just left the doctor's office with a caution to consume less fat because of a risk of a stroke? The meal planning solution was part of Intel's Connected Store, which debuted at the National Retail Federation Convention. Sometimes we need a bit more than just technology and facial recognition software to provide a solution to help retailers and advertisers deliver more targeted content for individual viewers and to determine what's for dinner. Every year we work closely with the National Grocers Association and ConAgra Foods to produce a benchmark survey of the Supermarket Guru Consumer Panel. Published at the NGA convention on February 15th, this survey gives a snapshot of what consumers throughout the country are seeking now from their supermarkets and the products within those four walls. Now, here's a sneak peek of just two of the areas. Caring about shoppers is an element explored for the first time in this year's study. Do consumers nationwide feel that their primary supermarket cares about them? The good news is that 89% say yes. The bad news is that much of that caring seems tepid. 55% feel the caring is moderate, while just 34% say yes, absolutely. Now, caring is not about feeling good. It's a linchpin to unshakable retailer-consumer relationships. In tough times, as we've lived through over the past couple years, people and stores need each other more. Also, households are cooking more, and they feel pretty good about doing it. In this survey finding, we found that 69% of America's adults are confident in the kitchen. 55% like to experiment, create their own recipes, and 47% consider themselves enthusiastic cooks. Now, the complete survey will be available for your download on February 15th in our information link section and at thelempertreport.com. For Food News Today, I'm Phil Lempert. Thanks for joining us.